If you left the clinic tomorrow, 2 weeks, no calls, no text, phone off, would your practice run? Not perfectly, just run. Most practice owners I talk to either laugh at that question or go quiet for a second because they already know the answer. The scheduling questions would stack up, billing issues would sit unresolved waiting for someone with authority to call them back. Staff would stop making decisions because they've learned that the fastest path to solving any problem is waiting for you. And meanwhile, you're on vacation, technically, but you've got your laptop open and you're answering messages from the beach chair, telling yourself you're fully going to disconnect on your next trip. Physicians joke about this constantly. I don't take vacations, I just work from somewhere warmer. And there's always a laugh, like it's just part of the deal. But underneath that joke is something worth paying attention to. If your practice cannot function without constant access to you, that is not a staffing problem, that is a systems problem. And the vacation didn't create it, it just showed you where it lives. I'm Asrin, this is Private Practice Secrets, and today we're going to talk about what your practice is actually telling you the moment you try to step away from it. The first thing I want to push back on is the idea that healthcare is just too complicated to fully unplug from. Yes, practices are operationally complex. Patient care, revenue cycle staffing, compliance, all of that is real. I'm not minimizing it. But the complexity of healthcare is not usually why owners can't leave. The reason owners can't leave is that the practice was built around constant owner availability. Those are two different problems. One is inherent to the industry, the other is a design choice, usually an unconscious one that compounds over time. Here's a useful distinction I want you to hold on to. A healthy organization should become slightly less efficient when leadership is away. That's normal. That's expected. It should not, however, become unstable. Slightly less efficient, that's fine. That's how organizations work. Unstable, that's not a leadership tax. That's a structural failure. And the tricky part is that vacations are one of the few moments where that structural failure actually becomes visible, which makes your vacation one of the most useful diagnostic tools your practice has, if you know how to read what it's showing you. Early on, when a practice is small, the owner fills every gap. You approve everything, you answer every question, you are the go-to person for every department. And in the beginning, that is necessary. That's how small practices survive. The problem is that your team learns from watching you. They learn that the fastest way to solve a problem is by asking you, not documenting the workflow, not building a decision tree, not creating a process, just asking you. And over time, without either of you noticing, you become the middleware. Your brain becomes the connective tissue between every department in the building. Every meaningful decision routes back through you. And here's the part that makes this hard to catch. Being constantly needed can feel like leadership. It can feel productive. You're solving problems, you're moving things, you're keeping the business alive. You can spend years doing this before you realize that the way you're running things is actually what's holding the business back. Because an owner as a single point of failure creates fragility. What happens when you get sick? What happens when you want to open a second location? What happens when you actually want to take a vacation with your family and not think about the practice for 10 days? If the honest answer to any of those questions is, I can't, that tells you something important about operational health of what you've built.
What do you think are like common mistakes that a lot of PT practice owners make that are potentially killing their growth?
Yeah, them having to fulfill everything. I think the biggest mistake that most practice owners make is they are involved in the majority of the fulfillment. They are the one that is treating all the patients, or the majority of the patients. And so they're not, because they're doing that, they can't grow the business because they're not allowing other people to take over the fulfillment part. The majority of my time in my businesses that I have, when I'm working on or even in the business, it is doing communication work and visionary work. And the majority of practice owners that are stalling are doing the majority of their work in fulfillment work. They are the ones that are on the floor. They're the ones that are treating, in our case, they're treating the patients from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And they don't have time to work on the marketing. They don't have time to create new partnerships. They don't have time to create new offerings and new products that we could present to patients. They don't have enough time to invest in the staffing, that they have, the other clinicians, and they burn out. The clinicians don't feel rewarded. They don't feel that they have a clear common mission. And that's usually the biggest reason why.
So here's the framework. I call it the 2-week stress test. And the core question is simple. What breaks or stalls if I'm genuinely unavailable for 2 full weeks? Start by tracking every question that comes directly to you over a normal week. Every approval, every escalation, every quick question, every process clarification, every decision someone says only you can make. Don't filter it. Don't justify it, just document it. Then go through that list and sort it into categories. Which of these are undocumented processes, workflows that only exist in your head? Which are authority bottlenecks, situations where no one else has been given clear permission to decide? Which are training gaps, genuine knowledge deficits on your team? Which are system access issues? Someone can't do the thing because they literally don't have the login. And which ones are actual owner-level responsibilities, things that genuinely require you? That last category is probably smaller than you think. If staff are constantly asking how to handle a specific insurance scenario, that's probably not a training problem. It's more likely that the workflow exists only in your memory and it was never written down before. If your staff need you to answer the same question repeatedly, that's not dependency. That's documentation you haven't created yet. Same logic applies to patient escalations. If every upset patient eventually gets to the owner, ask yourself why. Is it because those situations truly require executive judgment? Or is it because nobody has ever defined what your office manager is empowered to handle independently, and so nothing gets resolved without you? Operational maturity doesn't mean eliminating problems. It means building systems where problems can be resolved without you personally intervening every single time. The goal isn't to make yourself useless. The goal is to stop being irreplaceable in the day-to-day. Practices that have actually solved this share a few things in common. Processes are documented, not in someone's head, it's written down and accessible. Decision authority is clearly defined. People know what they're empowered to handle without escalating. Escalation paths exist for the things that genuinely need them, and teams are cross-trained enough that the absence of any one person, including the owner, doesn't create a crisis. I want to be clear. I'm not describing a perfect organization. I'm describing a resilient one. There's a real difference there. One of the fastest ways to identify where you're not resilient yet is to intentionally step away, even briefly, and pay attention to what happens. Where do questions pile up? What slows down? What gets stuck for your input? Each one of those moments is showing you where the business still depends too heavily on one person. That's not a criticism of how you've ran things. Every practice starts this way. The question is whether you're building towards something different. If you take one thing from this episode, let it be this. Your ability to temporarily step away from your practice is not a lifestyle metric. It's an operational metric. It tells you whether you've built a business or an obligation you can't put down. So the next time you go on a vacation and the interrupts start, don't just get frustrated. Write them down, because each one is telling you exactly where your system still needs work. That's the episode. If this one hit close to home, send it to a practice owner you know who takes vacations with their laptop open the entire time. See you next week on Private Practice Secrets.